Coming up, Donald Trump dominates Kristen Welker in Meet the Press interview. Welker asked Trump whether Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth has his support. And before we go there, if you like this sort of content, please like, share and subscribe.
They're going extremely well. It looks like Pete is doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
Trump says Pete Hegseth is doing very well. What is clear is that Trump is unequivocal in his support of Hegseth. He likes where Hegseth stands, and also the fact that Hegseth also is genuinely enthusiastic about the military, as opposed to some of the crank the handle types that we have seen in the portfolio before, where those defense secretaries have just been about doing what the establishment wants them to do. He goes further into some of the issues that Hegseth is facing with the Senate confirmation hearings.
From senators that he's going to be confirmed? Do you think he can make it?
No, I think he will, yeah. I've had a lot of senators call me up saying he's fantastic.
You don't drink yourself.
No.
You've talked about how devastating drinking can be.
Yeah.
How concerned are you that the person who you picked for this top job at the Defense Department, at least according to those who've worked with him, has struggled with drinking?
But I've spoken to people that know him very well, and they say he does not have a drinking problem. Right. And, he had a lot of knives out for him. A lot of people don't want to see the military made better.
Let me ask you about former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. You picked her to be the Director of National Intelligence.
Right.
In 2017, she had 2 secret meetings with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Do you have questions or concerns about those meetings?
No. And he's got bigger problems right now.
Well, do you think it makes it hard for her?
His country is collapsing.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it compromises her ability to handle that?
I met with Putin. I met with President Xi of China. I met with Kim Jong-un twice. Does that mean that I can't be president?
Well, when you were president, they weren't secret meetings.
Look, people meet. All these people meet. I mean, I see some of the most dishonest people. I'll tell you, the 51 agents that said that the laptop wasn't from Hunter, it was from Russia. What about them? Tell me about them. Do you think they did something wrong? Do you think they were all so stupid that they thought that the laptop from hell?
So you have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard?
I do. She's a very respected person.
Welker pushes negative sentiments and attack points on Pete Hegseth with drinking, etc. The reality is that those reports of Hegseth's drinking were from unnamed sources. Yet those actually prepared to be named who work closely with Hegseth have stated that Hegseth does not have a drinking problem. Why doesn't Welker state that at the same time? The reason is clear. Welker is partisan and the type that is a velvet glove, along with others in the establishment, trying to bully Trump into not supporting his appointees that they personally don't like. She tries the same weak attacks on Tulsi Gabbard, and that Gabbard is prepared to, get this, talk to people. The establishment seems to think that talking is a bad thing. Witness Biden not talking to Trump for nearly 3 years, despite benefits that such talks may bring in terms of the Ukraine conflict. Winston Churchill put the whole issue very well and very succinctly. George Orr is better than war. Seems once again that the Democrat establishment didn't get the memo. Or is it that they like war because they can spread procurement through all their electoral districts and the representatives can say what a wonderful job they're doing? Then we get to the issue of pardons.
Of times in this interview, I asked you last time we sat down for an interview if you were going to pardon yourself. You said no. But now that President Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter. Are you reconsidering? Might you pardon yourself?
I didn't do anything wrong. I was given the option. And the lawyers told me, a very specific lawyer, I don't have to go into who, but very high up in the administration said, sir, if you pardon yourself, you're going to look guilty. And you did nothing wrong. Oh, I had that option. I could have saved myself a lot of legal fees, but it turned out that I was right. Look at what's gone on. Everything's being dropped. I still have a Fani Willis, a total hoax. That's a total hoax. It's all being dropped. It's all been discredited. It's been dropped. There are those people that say, and this would be the first time in history, that all of those fake indictments, they were going after a political opponent. There are those that say that I actually did better in the election because of it. Now, that would be a first. I think you would agree, because normally that's like you go back to the microphones, you say, I'm leaving right now, I will leave office, I'm going back to my family, and I will fight for my name. Well, I had to fight for my name in public because I didn't leave office. But no, I didn't want to pardon, and I didn't want to pardon myself. I had the option to pardon myself.
And you don't want one now? You're not going to pardon yourself now?
What do I need one for? First of all, I've won almost all of the cases.
What if President Biden...
And the ones that I didn't win are on resuscitation.
What if President Biden offered you a pardon? Would you accept it?
I've never even thought about it. I don't think he'll do it.
Trump said that he won't pardon himself as he believes that it shows that he is guilty, whereas his contention is clearly that he isn't guilty, that he is innocent, and thus the pardons would just do him damage. He also says that he did better as a result of the lawfare that was undertaken against him, which is a point that I've made previously. Also, never thought about the possibility of Biden pardoning him. And then we get to the issue of the Biden White House actively pursuing lawfare against Trump, despite their denial. Trump said that he won't pardon himself as he believes that it shows that he is guilty, whereas his contention is clearly that he isn't guilty, that he is innocent, and thus the pardons would just do him damage. He also says that he did better as a result of the lawfare that was undertaken against him, which is a point that I've made previously. Also, never thought about the possibility of Biden pardoning him. And then we get to the issue of the Biden White House actively pursuing lawfare against Trump, despite their denial.
If he did, he's the one that started this whole thing. He got the Justice Department to go after me. And the state cases are all being run by the Justice Department, which is illegal. They had their people from the Justice Department work for Alvin Bragg in order to get something going. They worked for Letitia James in the state. He had his people go from the federal government and take lesser jobs in the state in order to get Donald
And you know
Trump.
he denies he had anything to do with it.
No,
and
you can't deny it. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they were there. Wait a minute. Wait. You know, you have a tendency to sort of like slough over things. You just made a statement. His person, the top, maybe the third or second or third person, left the federal government, the DOJ, and went to work for Letitia James. And then, after they got that one started, went to work for the DA.
Let me ask you about some of this new report.
Biden started the whole lawfare aspect and had Biden's people, in effect, taking demotions to go and join the state prosecution teams. It has been very clear all along that Biden and his White House have been up to their necks in the lawfare of prosecuting Trump. And Welker commenting that Biden denies it? Seriously? Criminals are always denying their involvement. Do we just say, oh dear, they denied it. That must be true then, we can't send them to prison. Welker clearly demonstrates her partisanship again with her comments and attempts at fact-checking. This is very clear, similar to the partisan ABC crew and their fact checks during the Trump-Harris debate. Then we get onto the issue of abortion, where the left have continued with their misinformation campaign about Trump trying to push various abortion bans through federally.
You've said that abortion is now a state issue. There are steps that you could take, though, as president to restrict abortion through executive action without Congress. More than half of abortions in this country are medication abortions. Will you restrict the availability of abortion pills when you're in office?
I'll probably stay with exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years, and the answer is no.
Trump says that abortion is a state issue. He is very clear that he will not restrict the availability of pills or ban them in the case of medicinally induced abortions. Yet again, Welker is pushing a left misinformation narrative. Yet these people think that they, the mainstream media, should be the arbiters of truth. And they wonder why they're losing sway. Then we get to the vexed issue of illegal immigration.
Of this that I think a lot of people are really curious about. I mean, 3% of the people who are here illegally have criminal histories. But in your first administration, you had the zero tolerance policy, where we did see family separations.
Yeah.
You ended it. The purpose of that, though, to some extent, and you talked about this at the time, was deterrent.
You also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in 2014, he built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. I mean, he didn't have a systemic, we're going to separate families. Families were separated when parents were a threat to the kids.
We don't have to separate a family.
This.
Excuse me, Kristen.
Yeah.
We don't have to separate families.
Yeah.
We'll send the whole family very humanely back to the country where they came. That way the family's not separated.
So no more family separations. You're not reviving the zero tolerance policy.
Well, it depends on the family. The family may decide to say, I'd rather have dad go, and we'll stay here. And in which case they have that option.
But you're not going to revive your zero tolerance policy, which was put in place as a deterrent. Is there any universe where you would bring that back, sir?
We need deterrence. Look, ready? When somebody comes here illegally, they're going out. It's very simple. When they come here illegally, they're going out. Now, if they come here illegally, but their family is here legally, then the family has a choice. The person that came in illegally can go out, or they can all go out together.
Trump points out that Obama separated families and built jails for children. Welker tries nitpicking, saying Obama didn't have a zero tolerance policy. It is the effect and intent of policies that matter, not specific terminology. But once again, Welker is defending her Democrat side of the fence. The simple fact is, Obama did separate families. I doubt those families would have said, well, at least Obama didn't have a zero tolerance policy. Welker was totally destroyed by Trump on this. Trump points out that families don't have to be separated. A point that Honan has made, on the other hand, is that you have family separation when US citizens commit crimes and are sentenced to go to jail. They are separated from their families. Trump also makes the point that deterrence is essential. Australia proved this a decade and a half ago, where the left government reversed a border policy from the time of the Howard government, which was introduced when I was part of the Howard team in Parliament. When the left government reversed those policies, illegal immigrants flowed in again. The left think that illegal immigration is related to so-called push factors, that these illegal immigrants are pushed from where they lived to seek asylum. The reality is, it is the pull factors that predominate in places like Australia and the USA. People will avoid a host of countries between their home country and the USA or Australia in their quest to reach an attractive destination. The interview then moved on to the January 6 committee. We will deal with this in part 2, as well as more on the January 6 pardons, RFK Jr. and childhood vaccines. Thanks for watching.